Hi, everybody. Victoria Moore here. And I'd like to introduce you all to my friend and colleague, Meg Archambault, who is going to be offering a series on the Emanation of Presence platform during February and March of this year, while I am traveling and not able to do quite as much or offer quite as many classes as I usually do. So Meg is a dear friend and somebody that I have known for, gosh, what would that be? I guess about 7 years at this point.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And I have watched her really transform amazingly over that period of time. And at this point, she and I share several things. We share a love of processing and a commitment to embodiment, to that visceral consciousness, what I call conscious embodiment or cellular illumination, that ability to really own yourself in the core. We also share a great respect for and faculty with that arena known as processing. So I am very delighted to be able to introduce you all to Meg, and that she is willing to offer her upcoming series. It's at this point, we're calling it Seasons of SoulWork, over February and March of 2020. So, hey, Meg.
It's so good to be here with you. I'm so
Oh,
excited to do this.
yeah, it's fun. We sometimes talk, but we never have video like this, and it's really cool to
Yes.
see each other. So let's start by you giving a little bit of a background of, what's brought you to this point, and then maybe talk a little bit about the series itself.
Sure. And thank you, by the way. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's a huge honor. And of course I love your platform, and I love all the all the people that gather in your circle. So it feels like it's a natural connection. And I know that I've
Absolutely.
guest taught, I guess it was 6 months ago or a year ago. I can't remember the last
No,
time
it wasn't that long ago. I
it
actually
wasn't that
did
long
look.
ago.
It was more like 4.5 months ago, I think. But it does
Okay.
seem it's like so much has
Time,
happened. I mean, we
time
could
is
start on like what's happened. I mean, ever since
right.
January
Exactly.
1st of 2020, it's been low. Anyway, but yeah, it's
Exactly.
only like 4.5, I
Yeah.
think, months ago.
Yeah. So I had the chance to do a brief introduction there, and I focused on the winter month of soul work. And so we thought it was a good idea to come back and give the whole series. But let me, as you said, start a little bit with how did I get here, and where the heck did the Seasons of Soul Work come from? And I mean, as you all know who are listening, you're on a journey, and you probably have something in your heart. For me, I was always, for some reason, um, compelled to study callings. The art of learning to hear and heed the call, of surrendering to the call of the soul. Anything that had calling or
Mm.
soul in it, I was just really, really captivated by. And I kept asking, well, how do I find out what's my call? What's my call, and how do I find out what my call is, and how do I surrender to it, and how do I do that? So it's been a course in and of my own life, and studying my life, and really, really asking those questions and coming into myself to see what the process is within myself. Because I had probably, gosh, I'm thinking 20 years ago or more, I was captivated by, you may know, Gay and Kathleen Hendricks. I'm sure they're on the
Sure.
circuit. But Gay Hendricks put out something that was called the Living University at the time. And I was in corporate America. I was working for the Coca-Cola company for, I think, 12 years or so. And it was just the end of my rope. I couldn't do it anymore. I
Mm.
used to say it was like at the end of a tube of toothpaste, when you're trying to squeeze out that last
Yeah.
part. right? It
Yeah.
was like that. I couldn't squeeze any more, desire to go to work one more day. And so I read about this living university where you could go learn how to teach, these programs. And I'm like, I'm doing it. I literally flipped a calendar between April, May, and June and closed my eyes and pointed a finger and said, that's when I'm leaving. And that
Wow.
was literally the date that I left the Coca-Cola company, the security, of the 9 to 5 job. And that was 20 years ago. That was in 1999. So it's been a journey from then to get to where I am today. And I learned a lot along the way. One of the things that I learned was, even though I got certified to teach the Living University and spent 18 days in California with Gay and Kathleen Hendricks, when I came back, I used to say I didn't have the chutzpah. I didn't have what it took to actually put these offerings out into the 3D world. And I had to do a lot of reflection around, what needs to happen to have that kind of courage. And
Mm.
so I went and I literally worked for a coffee company, serving coffee, did anything that I could to bring in some money until I could figure out the path. And for me, the path actually happened to be some in-between curves, where I went into facilitation. I did, for those 20 years, I did a lot of corporate facilitation. It was
Mm.
somewhat like a bridge between corporate and my own work, where I taught other people's work in sales and customer service and leadership and things like that. And so then it's only been probably maybe the past 5 or 6 years where I personally was once again at the end of my rope, and I can't teach these other people's programs anymore. I've got to listen more deeply to my programs. And so hand in hand with that was going on the processing work, right? To
Mm.
really unfold and find the pieces in me that were so afraid to bring myself and my own platform out, and were also hooked into the patriarchal structure of business, that my sense is my soul would not let me get out there until I unhooked a lot from the striving and performing and proving, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, until I could really, really unhook those from inside myself and begin to listen for what's coming through organically and intuitively and naturally through me. And
Mm.
so then for the past 3 years, I guess it was, excuse me, it was 5 years ago actually, where I literally started to work online. And I looked up, how do you do this online work? Because I didn't have a home base of people anymore.
Mm.
And I started a course, and with her name's Anne Manat. She was teaching how to do online courses. And this is leading to the seasons, I promise. But I asked the question, I said to myself, I said, how do I serve my tribe? How can I serve my tribe? Because that's really what I was looking to do. It's like, find my tribe, serve my tribe. And what I heard was, take care of yourself.
Mm.
And that wasn't exactly what I was hoping to find or hear, because of course I wanted to be on the speaking, tour and write a book and these fascinating things. And when I heard take care of yourself, I knew that it was something big. It was a prompting to, begin that inner turn, to look within, to really learn how to listen below the level of the heart, or below the level of the mind, into the heart, into the gut mind, and really ground with the earth and listen for how to serve by taking care of myself first. So that was the birth. I didn't know it then, but that was the birth and the beginning of these seasons, because I taught a program, small group program called the Summer of Self-Love. That's what I called it at first. And then I went on to teach the Fallen Self-Love version, which was more about processing. And then I found the Winter of Wisdom and the Spring of Self-Expression. I did these 4 small group courses for 2 years and really learned how to hone my skills in teaching online and pulling groups together online. But then I knew it was time to take a break.
Mm. Mm. Sorry, everybody. Um, the Bushveld internet, sometimes it's fantastic, but every once in a while, when it really matters, it freezes. So Meg had just shared with us about how she had started doing the soul work in those 4 individual small group sessions. And she was just leading to how she got to soul work. And I just wanted to add one little, just interject one thing, Meg, before we continue. And that is, I love the fact that you have so much integrity. I mean, it's just, it like comes out of a rapport in you. And the fact that you realized, sure, I can teach other people stuff and I can make a living out of that and people like it and blah, blah, blah. But the fact that you insisted upon working on yourself, right? When you got that message, take care of yourself. That you insisted on working on yourself to be able to come to the point where actually what you offer, and I know you do this in your individual coaching and mentoring sessions, which you're very busy with. But in addition to that, with this course, it's coming from your heart. And I really, really appreciate that level of integrity. So, yeah.
You're welcome.
So let's continue with the series.
So, and I wasn't sure exactly where I froze, but I think you get the idea that that these small groups kind of gave me the training ground to then go back and really apply this stuff in my life. Because what I learned, and this is for everybody who's listening too, and this is how it worked for me, is that you can teach theory, you know, and you can teach somebody else's things, but unless you embody it, and that's where we're in tune here, unless you are living, breathing, experiencing it, embodying it, it doesn't translate, it doesn't transmit, it doesn't resonate with someone else because it's theory, it's out of the brain. And
It's
so
here and not here.
exactly, it's information, right?
Yeah.
So I really said, I have got to go live this so that I can speak it from my body and not my brain. And I feel like I've gotten to that place, and it's kind of like how 2 forces converge, where I feel like after doing almost 12 straight months of a lot of one-on-one sessions and really, really clearing more of my field, that it's ready to come through in a different way. And then, you know, of course, here you are, Victoria, inviting me to be a guest teacher. And I'm like, whoa, the 2 forces collide
Yeah.
and say, you know, it's time, especially because there's so many women out there who have ideas, who have gifts, and they're kind of like where I was, where it's like, well, what are my steps, and how do I do this, and I'm scared, and I'm stuck, and I want to hide, but I want to come out, and there's just so much juice there to look at and to work on, just simply by claiming that piece that, hey, I'm ready to do something. I don't know what it is. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Boom. That's what leads us into this cycle, or I'm calling it a template or a map. That the seasons of soul work are literally it's a map of 4 seasons that will help you to identify where you are in your own process of soul work and getting your work or your dharma or your mission out in the world. And it gives you a place to go back to when you're stuck, because you can really almost reverse engineer it to see, what's keeping me stuck? So for me, on just modeling this, it's like I got through it, but then I had to go back to taking care of myself and really embody everything that I was teaching so that it could be in my body, and then keep clearing things so that I could be in alignment with what I'm teaching and have a deeper listening into my soul, so that what I put out in the world is more in alignment with what's truly coming through.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
practicing what I'm teaching so that the vibration transmits. And I'm excited to share this with more people, because I know that there are so many that are stuck in that place that I've been stuck, which is, how do I do this? I want to do it, but there's too much fear, or there's too much stuckness, or I don't even have the courage to start. So do you see that in the people that you work with and the groups that you work with, I'm guessing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And also, I think it's really important that it's like you have to have this attitude that you're describing in order to come into what it is that you have to offer. It's a very beautiful alchemy. And yeah, of course. I've watched several people that I've worked with over the years kind of make it through that territory. You being one of them, even though we hadn't worked very closely since that way back in the Awaken Academy days, but I've sort of been aware of what's been going on with you and clocking it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's this is, I feel that what you're offering is something. And the one class that you did offer 4.5, 5 months ago, whenever it was, got rave reviews from some pretty tough critics. So I'm very excited about this, and I think you all, looking at all of you out there, would benefit from doing this work with Meg. So let's talk about the specifics a bit, and like the dates and times and pricing and all that kind of stuff, so that people know how to do this. Because I think we've said a lot about what's being offered. So how are we offering it?
For me, if you want me to take that question, take that
Yeah,
piece,
sure, sure.
we have 4 Saturdays over February and March set aside, and it's February 8th, 22nd, March 7th, and March 28th. So these 4 Saturdays, what I'm looking to do is, in the first Saturday, offer an overview, almost like an overview of what each season is about, so you can get the feel of the whole cycle, the feel
Mm,
of the whole template. And then on that first Saturday, also go into specifics around summer and
mm,
literally give you exercises and ways to feel into and assess and do the self-inquiry. Where am I? How much summering have I done for my
mm.
own soul's work? And then following up with that with each Saturday
Oh,
after
oh,
that.
quick
Oh, go ahead.
question. Yeah.
Yes.
So the theme of summer is,
The theme of summer is connection. It
okay.
started out as self-care, but it's deepened over the four
Mm,
years that I've been working on this. And it's really about caring with this to this caring, giving care to the self requires you to turn around and come inside and connect with your own self.
okay.
Really, to really,
Beautiful.
to really nurture and
Yeah.
learn how to nurture. And I could go on. I find myself wanting to go on already into like the content, because it excites me so much.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned, Victoria, and with a lot of clients, is that you can't even process, which processing is really around the autumn, but you can't process well and deeply unless you can turn inward and have the willingness and the ability to, in some ways, be a mother to yourself and
Mm,
nurture and welcome those shadow parts to really with
right.
open arms. And so
Right.
that's the part of summer that builds on the autumn.
Okay. So
And
that's 2 weeks from today.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And if they see this week, then it'll be less than 2 weeks. So February
Right.
8th is the opening.
Okay.
So that'll be summer. And then the 22nd of February, what we'll do is we will dive deeper into the autumn. And the
Mm,
theme for the autumn is clearing and really welcoming. Because a lot of times when you think of autumn, you think of the leaves falling off the trees, it's getting darker. And a
mm.
lot of times we either try and force too hard to make those patterns shove away from us, when what we're all really realizing now is it's all about
Yeah.
welcoming and allowing and merging these things that are ready to go, to let
Mm,
them go,
yeah.
things that prevent
Beautiful.
us. So
Beautiful.
that's February 22nd. March 7th, then what we'll
Mm,
do is we'll dive into the winter, when the theme of that is wisdom. How do you access the inner wisdom and the guidance in order to get your work out in the world, in order to literally put your offerings out there? What offerings to offer requires us to go and sit in the silence
mm,
and get the guidance from either our higher self, or as I call it, the soul of my business, or even the soul of the Seasons of SoulWork. You can have guided dialogues with
mm.
your inner soul, the soul of your business, the soul of your teaching, the soul of your practice, whatever you do. That's the theme for March 7th. And then March 28th is all about spring, which is the expression, the soul expression,
The
the
birth.
allowing. the birth, the free flowing, the pushing up from underneath the ground.
Hmm.
And, you know, in some ways doing the ta-da, but not really, but really working with what does it feel like to put the egoic structure to the side, what's left of the egoic structure, and really allow source energy to come straight on through. So that
Mm.
I am not the teacher, I am the conduit for the teachings to come through. Or if you're,
Absolutely.
right, if you're a coach,
Beautiful.
same thing, if you're a thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that will that gives you the feel for that. Do you want to talk about pricing?
Yeah, but
Oh,
first, just one
question.
thing
Yeah.
yeah, just one thing I wanted to check in with you about. And that is, this series isn't just for people who are ready to emerge out into the world, though it is calibrated in those terms, but for anybody who's at any stage of their journey, these things come into play. I mean, birthing doesn't have to be birthing a new business or birthing a teaching modality or anything like that. It can be just birthing the next level of who you are. And each of these steps contributes to that. So this series, as you can all tell, Meg is a brilliant teacher and she has a lot to offer. And this is really for anybody, for any of you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, at some point in time, the teaching to me was we go from growing by working on ourselves to being of service to others. And so this series also, you can feel into the flip of the switch where you're working on yourself in the summer and the autumn to your being working on selfless service and how do I be of service. And so that doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, you're right, a business or anything. It just means peeling away the layers of density that's protecting you and keeping the light from shining or
Right.
the love from
Right.
coming through. So
And just to put a little note in here, there's no way you're going to wake up without selfless service, everybody. Just FYI, you can do everything right. You can be a fantastic meditator, beautiful journaler, blah, blah, blah. Without the selfless service, it just doesn't happen. So this is important, really important. Thank you for mentioning that.
you're welcome.
And our schedule, what time we were going to be starting at 8 in the morning, right?
Pacific, yep. So
Pacific
11
time.
o'clock
Yeah,
Eastern. And
right.
I'd have to do the calculations for
Oh,
London and Europe,
yeah,
but
yeah. Um, yeah, I actually, that'll all be, we're going to be sending out an email. Well, this actually, you'll get this video in an email, which will have all those specifics. And what we're doing is we're going to offer you the option of purchasing the entire series for $108, all 4 calls. And if you only want to do one individual call, that's fine. That will be available for a different price, I think $44. One other thing we're going to offer along with this series, so it's like every 2 weeks there's a call, there will be an online platform for delivering content and for asking questions and for having conversations, online conversations. So that will be part of this series as well. Yeah.
and that's a huge piece because sometimes, especially as
Mm,
you know, we can go into ourselves very quickly, and so it's good to have the support and be able to ask questions when they come up. So I'm happy to be able to support
yeah.
and help and
Yeah.
answer questions throughout. So
Yeah.
that's
And
another
it's,
bonus of doing the series, right?
yeah. Yeah. And also, it's really good when somebody has a question that you might not have thought to ask, but when they ask it and get an answer, it's exactly what you needed to hear. That's my experience with this online. So, yeah. So basically, this is Meg, everybody. She is offering this brilliant series. I'm thrilled. I will be traveling, so I'll probably just be listening in every once in a while or just listening to the recordings, but I'm very excited about what you're offering
Good.
and very grateful that you're going to be able to do this for us. And so, anything else
Thank
you'd like
you.
to say to end, Meg?
No, I'm just actually I'm feeling the energy already. I'm getting excited. Please, if anybody has any questions, I'm sure they can email you in between now and the time that it starts. And I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. It'll be
Oh,
great.
great. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, and look forward to offering this to all of you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Big love. Bye-bye.